Have you ever wondered what it would be like to look back on your life from your final years? Will you feel at peace, or will you wish you had done things differently? In this video, we're diving deep into 7 powerful life lessons I learned from spending 2 months in a nursing home. Lessons that can change the way you live today. As we age, we often focus on accumulating things. Money, possessions, achievements. But when the final chapter comes, none of that matters. What truly matters are the moments you lived, the love you gave, and the relationships you built. I'll share how loneliness, health, and the choices we make can shape our future in ways we never imagined. Stay with me until the end, and you'll discover why health is more valuable than wealth, why material things lose their meaning, and how simple, everyday moments hold the key to true happiness. I'll also discuss how forgiveness brings peace and why every day is a gift that we should never take for granted. These lessons could change the way you live today, so don't miss out on discovering how to make every moment count. The truth is, the clock is ticking. Are you living with purpose, or are you waiting for tomorrow? Let's find out together in this powerful journey of reflection and growth. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. Lesson 1. Loneliness is the greatest disease. When we picture a nursing home, most of us imagine a place of care, a hospital-like environment where the elderly receive medical attention, have their meals provided, and are looked after. But what I came to understand, and what struck me the hardest, is that the greatest challenge isn't physical. No, it is emotional. The crushing weight of loneliness. It is the deep, aching solitude that settles in the bones and lingers in the heart. There were people in that nursing home who hadn't received a visitor in months. Some hadn't seen a family member in years. Their children had grown up, left home, and moved on, swept up by their own busy lives. Their friends had long since passed, and the world had, it seemed, forgotten them. There they sat, day after day, waiting for someone, anyone, to remember them, to show that they were still seen, still worthy of attention, still a part of this world. It was heartbreaking to watch, and it left me wondering. Why does it seem so easy for people to forget those who once shaped their lives? One man, in his late 80s, pulled me aside one afternoon. With a voice weathered by years of hard work, he said something that would haunt me long after I left. I spent my whole life building a business, making money, securing my future, but I never built a family. Now I have everything I worked for, but no one to share it with. Those words hit me like a gut punch. In that moment, I realized something I had never even considered before. The hardest part of aging, the real tragedy, is not the loss of strength or the aches that come with age. It's the realization that you've been left behind. You've built a legacy, but no one is there to carry it forward, to carry you. And then there was the woman who would sit by the window every day, staring out at the world passing her by. Rain or shine, it didn't matter. She sat there, her hands folded neatly in her lap, her eyes constantly searching the road as if expecting someone to walk up at any moment. She would tell me, with a fragile smile, "I keep hoping my son will come to visit. He has his own family now, though. He's busy. Maybe next week, maybe next month." Her voice was barely a whisper, and I could hear the desperation tucked beneath her words, as if saying them out loud might somehow make them true. But her smile, the way it didn't quite reach her eyes, told the story of a woman who had been waiting, not for a visit, but for a connection that was slipping further and further away. In that instant, I realized something so painful it took my breath away. Sometimes, the worst kind of pain isn't being forgotten by others. It's knowing that, despite everything, you are still the one who remembers. Loneliness, I learned, is the heaviest burden that old age carries. It doesn't matter how much money you have or how many things you've accumulated over a lifetime. None of it can replace the simple, irreplaceable warmth of human connection. And when you're sitting in a room alone, the wealth of the world means nothing. You start to wish, to ache for something more meaningful than material success. If I could go back in time, I would have spent less energy chasing after wealth and achievement. I would have spent more of my days nurturing relationships, calling loved ones just to hear their voices, and sharing moments with the people who mattered most. I would have made time instead of making excuses, because the truth is, in the end, when everything else has faded away, what remains, what truly matters, is the love we've given and the love we've received. If there is anyone in your life, anyone you've been meaning to call or reach out to, do it now. Life is fleeting, and you never know when you might find yourself, years from now, sitting in a quiet room, wishing for someone to do the same for you. Let the love you give today be the light that guides you when you need it most. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for next week. Because the emptiness that lingers in those forgotten moments can be unbearable. Reach out before it's too late. Lesson 2. Health is more valuable than wealth. It was in the nursing home where I met a man whose life story struck me deeply, one that still echoes in my heart. He had once had it all: business empires, multiple properties that gleamed like jewels in the sun, and adventures to destinations most of us can only dream of. He had everything, and yet, when I met him, his wealth meant nothing. His body, once his source of strength and freedom, had betrayed him in ways I couldn't have imagined. He could no longer walk on his own. The simple act of feeding himself, something we all take for granted, was a distant memory. Now, he spent his days confined to a wheelchair, trapped in a body that no longer served him the way it once had. One day, as we sat together in the quiet of the nursing home, he looked at me with a sense of deep regret in his eyes and said, "I spent my whole life chasing after money, thinking it would give me the freedom I dreamed of. But what is freedom if you no longer have the strength to enjoy it?" His words hit me like a bolt of lightning. In that moment, I felt the weight of his experience. It wasn't just his story, though. As I looked around the room, I realized it was a story repeated in so many lives. Lives filled with once vibrant individuals who had worked tirelessly, built empires, and accumulated fortunes, only to find that they could no longer enjoy any of it. They had spent years sacrificing their health, skipping sleep, and putting off self-care because they believed that someday they would have the time to enjoy all that they had worked for. But for so many of them, that someday never arrived. They had the wealth, but the wealth had no meaning. What good is a mansion if you cannot climb its stairs? What use is a plane ticket if your body is too weak to travel? What good is all the money in the world if you can't take a single step without assistance? I watched these people who once had the world at their feet, now relying on others for the most basic of tasks. It was heartbreaking to witness, and it made me reflect deeply on my own life. The truth is, it's too easy to take our health for granted when we're young, full of energy, and invincible in our own eyes. But the reality is stark. Health is the foundation upon which everything else stands. Without it, everything else falls apart. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. I'll be honest with you. If I could go back in time, I would change everything. I would prioritize my health over everything else. I would move my body more, nourish it better, and care for my mind and soul. I would embrace rest and find ways to manage stress before it turned into a monster that would slowly consume me from the inside out. I would never again neglect my body, assuming it would always be there for me. Because in the end, no matter how much money you have, no matter how many cars or houses you own, you can't buy your way out of poor health. Money can't give you back the strength to walk, or the ease of breathing without pain, or the energy to enjoy your days without the burden of fatigue. We often forget that health isn't just the absence of illness. It's the ability to live fully, to breathe easily, to move with freedom, and to experience life with vitality. The people I met in that nursing home all had one thing in common. They wished they had more time. They wished they could go back to their younger years and undo the damage they had done to their bodies. They wished they hadn't spent their youth chasing after money, thinking they'd have time for themselves later. And now, as they lay there, some of them in physical pain, others in emotional turmoil, they would have given anything to be able to walk through the doors of that nursing home with the strength to dance, to run, to travel, to live. They wished they had understood the value of their health sooner. They wished they had given their body the love and care it deserved. I too now understand this all too well. Success, in its many forms, is important. Money can bring comfort, yes, but it cannot buy you back the time you lost or the strength you neglected. It cannot bring you the ability to walk without pain, or the energy to play with your grandchildren, or the freedom to travel the world without worrying about your health. If you don't take care of your health, none of your accomplishments will matter in the end. So let this be a warning. Don't wait until it's too late to realize the value of your health. Don't wait until your body starts to break down, until you're left wishing for the strength you once took for granted. Start today. Start now. Take care of your body while you still can, while you still have the energy to move, to enjoy, to live. Don't let your future self look back with regret. Because one day, you may wake up and realize that the greatest wealth you ever had was the health you once had, but didn't appreciate until it was gone. Lesson 3. Material things lose their meaning. I used to believe with all my heart that success was defined by the possessions I had. A grand house, an expensive car, the finest clothes. 4 years, I worked tirelessly, chasing after these things, convinced that each new purchase would bring me happiness and a sense of fulfillment. But, oh, how I was mistaken. When I found myself in the nursing home, surrounded by others in similar circumstances, it hit me like a wave crashing against the shore. All those material possessions I had worked so hard for, all the things I once thought defined my life, meant absolutely nothing. In that place, no one talked about the flashy cars they used to drive, or the designer labels they used to wear. No one cared about the couches they had in their living rooms, or how much was in their savings account. The only things that mattered were the memories they carried, the love they shared, and the moments they cherished with those who truly mattered. I met a man, once a proud owner of a mansion, who now lived in a small room with only a few belongings. A single chair, a bed, a handful of framed photos. When I asked him if he missed his old home, his response was simple, yet profound. He shook his head, his eyes distant, and said, "I spent my whole life filling my house with things, but in the end, I realized the only things that mattered were the moments I spent with the people I loved." His words echoed in my mind like a bell that refuses to stop ringing. In that instant, my heart sank. All of the things I had accumulated throughout my life felt so insignificant. They were just objects, hollow and temporary, offering no lasting joy or connection. I realized that no matter how much I had, it could never replace the joy of human connection, the comfort of shared laughter, or the warmth of a simple, heartfelt conversation. The more I reflected on it, the more my perspective shifted. I began to see that at the end of the day, what we leave behind isn't the stuff we collected. It's the impact we had on the people around us. In the nursing home, I saw people who had lost almost everything. Their health, their homes, their wealth. But they had their memories, those sacred treasures that no one could take away. Some were at peace, with a sense of fulfillment that only comes from a life well lived, filled with love and joy. Others, however, were filled with regret, haunted by the years they spent chasing after material things instead of being present with their families, creating memories that would last forever. If I could go back, I would focus less on what I owned and more on the experiences I created. I would spend less time accumulating possessions and more time creating moments that would stay with me for the rest of my life. Because in the end, when the dust settles and the years slip away, no one will remember the brand of car you drove or the designer bags you owned. They'll remember the way you made them feel. They'll remember your kindness, your love, and the genuine moments you shared. Everything else is just temporary, fleeting, meaningless, and gone before you even realize it. When that final day arrives, you won't wish for more things. You won't be lying there, longing for a bigger house or a more expensive car. You will long for more time with the ones you love, more time to laugh, to share, to live. And when you can't go back, when the world has moved on, the only thing that will truly matter is the love you gave and the memories you made. That's what will endure. That's what will remain long after the material things fade away. Lesson 4. Independence is a precious gift. For the longest time, independence was something I never fully appreciated. It was just a part of my everyday existence. An automatic, almost invisible gift that I took for granted. I woke up each morning, made decisions without hesitation, moved through my day with ease, and never once had to ask for help. It all seemed so simple, so natural, and yet I never truly stopped to reflect on what it meant. But when I found myself inside a nursing home, I was suddenly thrust into a harsh reality that opened my eyes in ways I never expected. There, I met people who had spent their entire lives being strong, self-sufficient, and capable. These were individuals who had, for decades, navigated the world on their terms, confident in their abilities. Yet, as the years wore on, their independence began to slip away, bit by bit, until one day, they woke up and realized they could no longer perform even the most basic tasks without assistance. It hit me hard. It was as though life had stripped them of the very thing they had worked so hard to maintain, leaving them fragile in a way that was impossible to ignore. One woman, a former teacher, now found herself dependent on others just to get out of bed. She looked at me, a faint smile on her face, and said, "I used to stand in front of a classroom, guiding young minds, shaping their futures. Now, I need help just to go to the bathroom." Her words were calm, almost resigned, but beneath her steady voice, I could hear the deep ache of loss. It was as if every sentence she spoke carried the weight of a lifetime's worth of memories. Memories of a time when she stood proud, capable, and in control. But that time was no more. Another man, who had once traveled the world with boundless energy, now needed a nurse to feed him. He shared with me, "I never really thought about what it meant to lift a spoon to my mouth until the day I couldn't do it anymore." I could see the emptiness in his eyes as he spoke, a profound sense of vulnerability that broke my heart. It was in those moments, witnessing their pain and longing for the simple freedoms they once took for granted, that I truly understood the depth of my independence. These were people who yearned for the ability to walk outside, to cook their meals, to dress without the need for someone else's help. They missed the everyday freedoms that many of us overlook. The truth is, I never fully grasped how precious these things were until I saw others, strong, resilient individuals, stripped of them. And that realization, that gut-wrenching awareness, hit me like a ton of bricks. Independence is not something we truly value until it's slipping through our fingers. We live our lives, going through the motions, never once pausing to acknowledge that the very things we take for granted, like walking without assistance, dressing ourselves, choosing what we want to eat, are gifts. They are precious, fleeting treasures that many people would give anything to have back. If you are still able to move freely, make your own choices, and care for yourself, hold on to that with everything you have. Cherish it. Every step you take, every choice you make, is a blessing. Because one day, you might wake up and realize that the things you never thought twice about, the simple act of brushing your teeth, walking to the kitchen, or lifting a glass to your lips, are not to be taken lightly. And when that day comes, no amount of money, regret, or wishing will be able to return the independence you once had. Take care of your body, keep your mind sharp, and live your life fully, because the day will come when your body can no longer do what it used to do. And when it does, you will understand more clearly than ever just how precious independence truly is. Lesson 5. True happiness comes from simple things. Happiness is something we all spend our lives chasing, isn't it? We believe it's something to be earned, an elusive treasure that awaits us just beyond the next milestone. We convince ourselves that happiness will arrive when we achieve something grand. When we earn more money, land that perfect job, buy the house of our dreams, or hit the next big goal. We are often so focused on that next achievement that we forget to savor the simple moments that surround us. But sometimes, life has a way of showing us the truth in the most unexpected places. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. I remember a woman I met in a nursing home, an extraordinary woman who completely changed my perspective. She was 85 years old, frail and delicate, her body no longer capable of doing the things it once could. Yet, no matter the circumstances, no matter the challenges, she always had a smile on her face, a smile that radiated warmth and peace. She wasn't the wealthiest, the strongest, or the healthiest person there, but without a doubt, she was the happiest. I couldn't help but feel intrigued by her joy. One day, I asked her the question that had been swirling in my mind, "What is your secret to happiness?" She gave me that gentle smile of hers and said, "I do not think about what I have lost. I enjoy what I still have." Her words struck me deeply. Here was a woman who had lived through so much, a life full of ups and downs, filled with losses that most of us couldn't even imagine. She had lost her youth, her health, her independence, and perhaps even some of the friends who once stood by her side. But despite all that, she had found a way to embrace life and the joy it still offered her. It was then that I understood something that I had long overlooked in my own life. Happiness doesn't come from what we are chasing, it comes from what we already have. So many people in the nursing home had lost so much, but the ones who found happiness were the ones who still found joy in the smallest of things, those seemingly insignificant, yet profound moments we often overlook. A warm cup of tea, the comfort of a heartfelt conversation, the sensation of sunlight warming their skin, or the joy of watching a bird flutter by, these were the things that brought them joy. And for the first time, I understood. Happiness isn't about amassing more or achieving bigger things. It's about appreciating what we have, right here, right now. I couldn't help but reflect on my own life, the times I spent working myself to the bone, always thinking that happiness was just a step away. If I could just get a little more money, a little more recognition, a little more success. I realize now that all those moments I spent chasing the next big thing, I was missing out on the treasures that surrounded me every single day. How many times had I rushed through life, only to look back and realize I had overlooked the beauty of the present moment? The laughter of a loved one, the warmth of a hug, the quiet peace of a sunrise. These are the things that make life truly beautiful. If I could turn back time, I would stop waiting for happiness to show up in the future. I would appreciate the present more. I would slow down and enjoy the simple moments, the ones that truly make life worth living. Because, in the end, happiness was never in the big things. It was always in the little things, the things we often take for granted, yet they are the very essence of what makes life meaningful. Now, whenever I find myself rushing toward the next goal, I remind myself of that wise, smiling woman. Happiness doesn't need to be chased. It's already here, in the simple, quiet moments we often overlook. And for that, I am deeply grateful. Lesson 6. Forgiveness brings peace. During my time at the nursing home, I had the privilege of meeting so many wonderful people, each carrying their own unique story. But what struck me the most was how many of them seemed burdened, not by the physical aches or illnesses that come with age, but by something far heavier, something that had built up over years, even decades. It wasn't just the pain of the body that wore them down, it was the deep, raw ache of regret. Some regretted the things they never did, the dreams they had left unchased, or the paths they had never taken. And then others regretted the words they never spoke, the love they never expressed, or the apologies they never offered. But perhaps the deepest, most soul-crushing regrets belonged to those who had carried a burden of anger for far too long. I will never forget a particular woman, in her late 70s, whose story forever etched itself in my heart. She shared with me the painful tale of a falling out she had with her sister, a disagreement so small and trivial that, even now, neither of them could fully recall what it was about. Yet, despite its insignificance, the rift between them lasted for more than 20 years. 2 decades of silence, of missed opportunities for reconciliation, and the heavy weight of unspoken words. Her voice quivered as she spoke, and I could see the heartbreak in her eyes. She told me, "I always thought we had more time. I thought one day we'd fix it. But one day never came. My sister passed away last year, and now I will never get the chance to say, 'I'm sorry.'" In that moment, my heart ached for her, and the weight of her sorrow felt almost unbearable. It was a harsh reminder of how precious time is, and how it waits for no one. As I stood there, I felt the intense truth of her words settle deep within me. I realized something that shifted my perspective entirely. The people who suffer the most are not the ones who have been wronged, but the ones who refuse to forgive. They carry the weight of anger, bitterness, and hurt, and it eats away at them from the inside out. It doesn't punish the person who wronged them, it only punishes them. It only poisons their hearts, making it impossible to find peace. I thought about my own life and all the grudges I had carried, the times I had allowed pride, stubbornness, or fear to stop me from making peace with those I had a conflict with. Suddenly, in the face of this woman's painful truth, all of my grievances seemed so trivial, so insignificant. How could I have held on to these small, petty things for so long when there were far bigger things to let go of, like love, understanding, and forgiveness? That day, I made a vow to myself, a decision that would forever change the way I approach life. I chose to forgive. Not because others necessarily deserved it, but because I deserved peace. It was a weight I had been carrying for too long, the heavy stones in my heart, and in that moment, I set them down. I felt lighter than I had in years. It was as if a weight had been lifted, and for the first time in ages, I could breathe freely. I could finally feel the freedom of forgiveness, the incredible release that comes from letting go of the chains of anger. If you're holding on to resentment, if there's someone in your life you need to forgive, don't wait. Do it now. Not tomorrow, not someday, but today. Time is so precious, and it doesn't wait for anyone. You can never know when your last moment will come, so why waste it carrying around something that only hurts you? In the end, when we look back on our lives, we won't remember the grudges we held, or the pride that kept us from healing. What we will remember is whether we found peace or not. And trust me, when that final chapter comes, you don't want your last thought to be, "I wish I had let go sooner." So, let go now. Embrace the peace that forgiveness brings, because your heart deserves it. You deserve it. Lesson 7. Every day is a gift. Every day we wake up, we are given a precious gift, a chance to live, to love, to experience. But how many of us truly appreciate this gift? How many of us truly realize that the time we have is fleeting and that nothing, absolutely nothing, is promised? One morning in the nursing home, I woke up to the heart-wrenching news that a resident, someone I had shared laughter and stories with just the night before, had passed away quietly in his sleep. He had been recounting tales of his childhood at dinner, smiling, laughing, and full of life. And then, just like that, he was gone. It felt as though the ground beneath me shifted. In that moment, something deep inside of me changed. I saw the fragility of life in the clearest terms. We live our lives, don't we, as though time is abundant, as if it stretches out endlessly before us, like a river that never runs dry. We tell ourselves, one day, I will do this, or one day, I will say that, or one day, I will live the life I've always dreamed of. One day we'll take that trip to see the world, one day we'll tell those we love just how much they mean to us, and one day we'll live with intention and passion, pursuing our dreams. But what happens when that one day never comes? What happens when the very moment we've been waiting for slips through our fingers without warning? If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. As I spent more time in the nursing home, I met people who had spent decades waiting. They had worked tirelessly, saved every penny, and carefully planned for the future, waiting for the perfect time to truly live. But by the time they were finally ready to enjoy life, it was too late. Their bodies had betrayed them, their health had deteriorated, and their opportunities had long since passed. These people didn't regret what they had done. They regretted what they had never done, the things left unsaid, the risks never taken, the love left unexpressed. I remember one man in his 90s sitting by the window, gazing out at the world as it passed him by. With a quiet sigh, he looked at me and said, "I thought I had more time, but now all I have left are memories of what I should have done." His words haunt me to this day. They are a reminder of how fragile time is, how unpredictable life can be. We think we'll always have another day, another chance, another opportunity to make things right, to chase our dreams, to love more fiercely. But the truth is, life is fragile. Tomorrow is never promised. It's not something we can count on. In that moment, I realized how many times I had put off happiness, how many moments I had taken for granted, the dreams I had whispered to myself, the opportunities one had let slip by because I was waiting for the right time. But the right time, I realized, is never coming. And so, I made a vow to myself, a promise that I would stop waiting. I would stop acting as if life was something that would begin in the future because, in reality, the future is uncertain, and the present is all we truly have. If I love someone, I will tell them. If I have a dream, I will pursue it. If there's something I've been meaning to do, I will do it now, before it's too late. No more wasting time on resentment, on fear, or on distractions that take me away from what truly matters. Because in the end, when the final moments come, and they will come for all of us, the only thing that will matter is how fully we have lived. Every day is a gift. Don't waste it. Because one day, the sun will rise, and you won't be here to see it. The voices of your loved ones will echo in the air, but you won't be there to hear them. And in that silence, when the world continues without you, the only thing that will remain is the life you chose to live. The choices you made, the risks you took, the love you gave, and the dreams you chased. Life is measured in moments. Sure, 2 months spent in a nursing home may not seem like much, but it was enough to change me. Enough to make me see life through a different lens. I used to think that aging was about counting the years we have left, but I was wrong. Aging isn't about how many years we have left. It's about how we spend the years we still have. Some of the people I met were at peace with themselves. They had lived fully, loved deeply, and had no regrets. Others, though, spent their final years wishing they had done things differently. They wished they had said, "I love you," more often. They wished they had taken more chances. They wished they had not wasted precious moments on things that, in the end, didn't matter at all. Their stories became my greatest lesson. And I know now, more than ever, that I do not fear aging. What I fear is wasting time. I fear that one day I'll look back and realize that I lived too cautiously, too distracted, too focused on trivial things that don't make a difference. That fear pushes me every single day to live with purpose, to love without hesitation, and to pursue what truly matters. As we come to the end of this lesson, I want you to take a moment and reflect on what you've learned so far. Life is fleeting, and we are given only so much time. What have you been waiting for? What are the dreams, the words, the moments you've been putting off for one day? What lesson from today will you carry with you moving forward? I'd love to hear from you. Please take a moment to comment below and share just one thing you've learned today and how you plan to bring it into your life. What change will you make today to start living with intention and purpose? If you like this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for being here, and remember, every day is a gift. Let's make the most of it.